Hi everybody, welcome to the Galway Fringe Festival and My Aunt and I. It's the story of my poetry, which is called Pandemic Poetry, and my aunt Delia Murphy, and how the two of us linked together. I wrote pandemic poetry because this is a time of lockdown, and it had been in my mind anyway to start this series of poems, which was to delve into my childhood. And there's a certain objectivity, I think, about it too, because I'm at an age where I can look back and view my childhood as the person I was then, rather than as the person I am now. You'll have poetry videos and live music and poetry and some songs. I'll be singing some songs, and I'll tell you the story also of Delia Murphy, my aunt, famous in her day, who was known as the Queen of Connemara. So now we're going to listen to some poetry videos, and these were made by a collaboration of a number of people.
A return visit. There you are, appearing over the horizon like a stork, my tall, thin, elegant aunt. It was as if you'd dropped from the sky into our grey world, and I worshipped you. You were my lit-up dream, my promise of redemption, my shining star. Someday I might be like you, I thought. Someday I would gallop towards that horizon myself and leap into the future. There is a world of promise out there. It is yours to grasp at, to hold on to. You called. You were the clever one, the woman who had tasted the nectar of knowledge, who had seen how people can make and create beauty beyond words. You were the rare one.
Back to white. It's springtime, whitewash time, primroses and green. Hang snowy sheets, see the wind blow, snapping them, cracking them high overhead, like small explosives from a Wild West show. Turn the house inside out, the ringmaster cries. Make it spick and span, create shine. Through once grimy windows, sunbeams creep and lie and warm up exposed boards, as though floors were alive. Retreat, winter, we're in charge, the cotton sheets cry, flapping, linking tips to wave goodbye. And it's true, because my heart wants to open, like a sun-split seed blunts cold, delivering life. Polish the brasses, shake out carpets, we need gleam, are on our knees as orders fly. No secrets, no dark corners, get rid of grudges. The ringmaster bears down, squeezes out thorns let grow inside. The bony house is naked of cobwebs. Paint glows, rooms smell like a woodland dell. Sheets are back on beds like bridal dresses. Then red ink is spilled, or more, and the world seeps in, despite our zeal. Enigma by Carmen Cullen. Met by a grin, but opaque eyes. How could I know what was truth and what lies? When she spread out her wings to take us inside, to her loved ones she was an eagle. I ran away in fright. Meet your new mammy, now that she said she loves me. My father smiled. Yet although I tried, used the right words, an old love had pinioned my arms to my side. She had curling black hair with an ebony sheen, skin without blemish, snow white. From her fingertips compassion flowed and kindness stitched with smiles. But life had become a jigsaw puzzle. She the piece I couldn't find. Those videos were helped by the lovely images of Deirdre Ridgway, the music of Jerry Anderson, and the editing of Conor McGowan and Dan Robinson. This is Delia Murphy, my aunt, a wonderful woman who in her day became Ireland's premier singing star, and a lot of people would have said that without her people like the Clancy brothers and ballad singers after that would not have been so successful. She was Ireland's premier singing star and influenced me to believe that I could be a writer and be creative myself, and that it was all right to be like that. Later on we'll be talking more about Delia, but now I'm going to read some poems for you, and Jerry Anderson will play the music to accompany them. Young love. I'm out in the desert, my mouth is so dry, or it's a jungle, since my chest is a drum. How can I pass him, or dart a glance? Does he know I'm liquid inside, can't judge? His heart is the drolling kind mine is. I seem to see it lift on the wing, behind eyes soft as a rabbit's paw, as naughty lips tilt in a grin for kissing. But I can't fly, won't look, so I slide past and push my way up the next hill. Breathing again, I steel myself. Next time I'll stand still, speak when we meet. Away days. I once had an aunt who hugged. Nobody else did that. Open her door would fling, out she would step. Oh, my darlings, she'd cry, and we'd melt. For 2 whole weeks in that rainy place, we were splashed with sparkling love, and everywhere had rainbow shades and turned into fairyland. Our hearts fished up for airing, not labelled for sale. Aramusha, you're gorgeous, Mustorians, little beauties, you'd make your mother proud. And so our souls spilled over with ease and contentment. We were on a pedestal, fed with sunny smiles, kisses to store. Snatches come back of that magical place, and that's all that matters, because today it's as bright in my mind as a shining heirloom, a ruby that needs no polishing, can't be stolen, is a joy to wear. I have a strong identification with my Aunt Delia, and I suppose the reason why is because she was my mother's sister. And it's important to remember that as a woman too, there are very few role models that we have to look back on or to look up to and to be able to believe that we could become like them. And Delia was one of those people. She had a charisma, she had an excitement about her, and she generated that even just looking at her posters. And I used to see her posters in a box when I was a child. My mother also was a singer, and she inspired me just by looking at her picture and hearing stories about her, that I could be a little bit like that too if I tried. So my creativity comes out in my writing, in my poetry and in my novels, and hopefully you will begin to see that as time goes by. But now I'm going to sing some of Delia's songs. They're songs that she became famous for, except perhaps for the Crappie Boy, but it shows the variety of work that she approached and the type of songs that she was prepared to sing, very often with a folk background or ballads, songs that she heard when she was growing up as a child, and songs that she got from very many people who came into her life, including from the Claddagh in Galway. And as this is the Galway Festival, I think it's no harm to mention that. She also went to university in University College Galway and was one of the first women graduates to come from there with a Bachelor of Commerce degree. So my first song is going to be The Crappie Boy, and I'll be accompanied by Jerry Anderson. 'Twas early, early in the spring, the birds did whistle and sweetly sing, changing their notes from tree to tree, and the song they sang was Old Ireland Free. 'Twas early, early in the night, the yeoman cavalry gave me a fright. To my misfortune and my downfall, taken was I before Lord Cornwall. 'Twas in the guard house where I was laid, and in a parlour where I was tried. My sentence passed and my courage low, when to Duncannon I was forced to go. As I was walking by my father's door, my brother William stood at the door. My own father remained also, and my tender mother her hair she tore. As I was walking up Wexford Street, my own cousin I chanced to meet. My own cousin did me betray, and for one bare guinea swore my life away. As I was mounted on the scaffold high, my dear mother was standing by. My own father did me deny, and the yeoman soldiers shouted, "Croppy boy." 'Twas in Duncannon this young man died, at Geneva barracks his body lies, and all good Christians as you pass by, please spare a prayer for the croppy boy. If I was a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in, and on the top rigging I'd there build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. I am a young maiden, and my story is sad, for once I was courted by a brave sailor lad. He courted me truly by night and by day, but now he has left me and gone far away. Promised to take me to Donnybrook Fair, to buy me red ribbons to tie up my hair, and I know that someday he'll come back o'er the tide, then surely he'll make me his own loving bride. They chide me and will not agree that I and my sailor boy married should be, but let them deride me and say what they will. While there's breath in my body, he's the one I love still. If I was a blackbird, I'd whistle and sing, and I'd follow the ship that my true love sails in, and on the top rigging I'd there build my nest, and I'd pillow my head on his lily white breast. Now I'm going to ask Jerry a few questions. Jerry, when did you first hear of Delia?
I heard of Delia growing up when my mother used to play her on the piano, and then my sisters used to perform her in the Jury's Cabaret with Hal Roach, and I used to be laughing at them back then because I was into Zeppelin and Hendrix and things like that. Now they're laughing at me.
And when did she record first?
Delia recorded in 1938 for the first time, again into 1939, at a very different time, at the beginning of Irish recorded music. She recorded on the 78s, was played on the radio extensively throughout the country, and became a huge star.
We all know those 78s or remember them from our past. So what was so different then?
Well, the instrumentation was very different to what it is now. It was more pure in a way. You would have had guitar, fiddle, piano, accordion. There's none of the later introductions like bazookas and mandolas and the fiction of the Orita Bowron, was much simpler.
Yes, it was a different time. And how did she fit into the tradition then of songs and music?
Well, she was the pioneer. She recorded many of the songs that other people have become known for before them. For example, the one we did earlier, Croppy Boy, she recorded that before the Dubliners or the Clancys, yet they would be associated with it, possibly because there's no footage of her performing. So she's fallen through the cracks. She only made one LP, which was late on in her career. She was in a time when there was no MTVs or tabloid papers, reporting celebrity lifestyle of singers, and she didn't snort coke and any jacks or tear up photos of the Pope.
So you think she's been neglected then?
I do, yeah. I think she really has been.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a unique voice, unpretentious, real. Everything was one take, it was live, no overdubbing like today, and it was pre-steel string guitars and the dagad tuning of what most Irish accompanists use, which is a Scottish effect anyway. They're like the grey squirrels coming into the red squirrel territory in many ways. The classical guitar with its more subtle harmonic.
Well, she wasn't neglected, yeah, but what is her legacy all the same she does?
Well, she influenced people in a very subtle way, like Liam Clancy credits her that she gave him the courage to sing the songs he did. Garrick de Brún heard her as a teenager singing when he was visiting his mother's estate up in Mayo, started his love for Irish music, which he eventually fulfilled when he founded Claddagh Records. People like Johnny McAvoy covered the Boston Burglar, had a huge hit with it. Bridie Gallagher did the Girl from Donegal, a lot of people.
Well, maybe after this, Jerry, people will look into Delia Murphy and consider her as a singer and listen to her songs a bit more.
I hope so. It's just time to reassess her place in the pantheon of Irish singers.
Well, thank you very much for that, Jerry. There are three lovely lassies in Banyan, 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 Banyan. There are three lovely lassies in Banyan, and I am the best of them all. Yes, I am the best of them all. For my father has 40 white shillings, 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 shillings. My father has 40 white shillings, and the grass of a goat and a cow, and the grass of a goat and a cow. And And me mother, she says I can marry, 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 marry. Me mother, she says I can marry, and she lave me her bed when she dies. Yes, she lave me her bed when she dies. So I'm sending me shoes to be mended, 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 mended. I'm sending me shoes to be mended, and me petticoat to be dyed green, and me petticoat to be dyed green. And on next Sunday morning I'll meet him, meet him, meet him, meet him. On next Sunday morning I'll meet him, and I shall be dressed like a queen. Yes, I shall be dressed like a queen. And my next two poems are God, O God and Convent Days, and maybe they reflect the themes themselves by their very titles. I was brought up in a Catholic household, and that has its own difficulties, especially when you're a child. But to me, of course, there weren't difficulties at all. They were so much part of my life, as they were of children who grew up in my era. So every Sunday we went to Mass, and it was the same experience of embarrassment, being watched by the neighbours as we walked up the steps, being watched by the neighbours as we walked through the church to sit in our pews, very self-conscious, then getting out to go for communion. And there's that element in it, but also the sense that God is always ever present and watching over us and watching us as well in case we behave badly. And the whole sense of being in a church which was very repressed and very held in, so that when you went outside, the world sprang into brilliance around you. Colours, smells, things growing, and you as a human being back to being yourself again. So that's God, O God. And the next poem is Convent Days, and that reflects on my childhood in school, being taught by nuns, and the bizarre appearance of a nun. I'm sorry if anybody has relations who are nuns, but to a child they are very unusual because they dress completely in black and they've got white in front under their, all you see is their face. And it appears as if they're almost some sort of puppet or inhuman. You don't imagine them sleeping or eating and don't know if they do such things. And it's to kind of consider that the impact that has on a child. So I hope you enjoy them. God, oh God. Hip hip hooray, it's God's time. Nothing will harm us today. It's Sunday morning, and on each of our heads Jesus will breathe, and hey presto, new again. Oh Jesus, I love you, whatever that means. But I'm told he's suspended in the sky, watching me gimlet-eyed, searching my soul, holding it prisoner to keep me good, not let it die. We kneel, then stand and fiddle. We're at Mass, using prayer books or rosary beads. Soon, shyly, I'll join the line for communion, viewed by pews of bird people, pecking me clean. But oh, at times the scent of incense, heady and swelling out to take us over, like diving into rose petals in a rich pile, or entering a smoke-filled, sinful pleasure door. The church has soaked us in, probed for badness, until the wand of God's goodness makes us clean. Thrust out, unpacked, we drink in the madness of fresh flesh, colours pressing, and the waltz of dreams. Convent Days. Sister Pius glides like a nice queen. I think it's a trick. She's not real. Just a paper figure cut out with a mask for a fleece to frighten her pupils. Other nuns rear above us like spruce trees, or a roundy, don't move much, glower, a pretty one looks out brightly at the merry world, left behind to be God's bride. Our nuns were once young, like I am. As a grown-up, I might be one too. Dress in black to my feet, wear rosary beads, a jangling chain round my waist to keep me pure. Between my breasts a medal of Our Lady will nestle to drain me of love. She'll be my mother, and with other sisters we'll daily pace paths, twist back like moths kept in a glade.
So Carmen, it's my turn now to ask a few questions. What are the difficulties that both you and your Aunt Delia faced when you set out to explore your artistic side?
Well, I suppose for me the first difficulty was actually seeing if I had an artistic side. I knew I was determined to do something. I'd had 3 children. I was 28, I wasn't going to have any more, and I thought to myself, I'm either going to be a teacher and a mother and a wife for the rest of my life, or there's another side to me. So the difficulties really were about how to go about that and not knowing whether or not I could actually do it. But I started to write short stories at that stage, and I made a huge effort to keep going. And I would do it when I was putting my youngest daughter to bed, and when she was falling asleep, I would write.
And when did it become even more difficult?
It was always difficult, and it became more difficult as the family grew up and as emotional traumas entered into my life. But in many ways they helped it too, because if you have some great difficulties, emotional difficulties, they are the best goad to force you to explore them, to find out what it is about this you can do about it. How can you express the problems that are going on? And I suppose writing is a relief too, because it removes you from the world, to try and help you to stand back and objectively look at things that are happening to you. In terms of my aunt, I would say that the difficulties there had got to do with her lifestyle, because for a lot of her life she was married. Well, I mean a lot of her life in the sense that he became an ambassador when she was in her 40s. But up to that, she had a family of 4. It can't have been easy to run a household and sing the songs that she wanted to sing, and also the songs that she wanted to sing weren't necessarily fashionable at the time. So she went against the status quo. So she had to fight a lot of factors in the world around her to be heard and to do what it was she wanted to do, to be true to herself, I suppose.
And what is it that drives you, keeps you going?
The fact that I can't give in or can't give up, and also that each time you feel as if somehow or another you might do it better, that you might get to that nub of the truth of something, the truth of the matter, or a better way of expressing yourself, or just a sudden new theme you feel you'd like to write about, and a new way of exploring stories or the world around you or people, or just because you enjoy language and you enjoy the musicality of poetry or the storytelling version of novels. Everything is an incentive to keep on going. My next poems are The Garden Wall, My Mother's Room and Little Sister. And again, they're going right back into my period when after my mother died and my father married again, and we moved to live on a farm. And there's a kind of a paranoia about my world, I think, there, because I'm not quite sure exactly where I belong or how I belong. I definitely feel different to everybody around me. And still, I'm reflecting, I'm experiencing, there's an atmosphere, your senses are treating you to everything that's happening. And I was also very much praised by my English teacher at that time for the stories and essays that I used to write. So all these things kind of encouraged me to believe that it was possible to be a writer. And I fought along those lines. And when I look back now on things that were happening, it's more about the small things that really stand out, that were something that you puzzled about when you were young, or that featured hugely, even though they were very tiny. And I think that's where I got my inspiration from. So I hope you enjoy them. The Garden Wall by Carmen Cullen. Come, climb me, the garden wall excites. Find a foothold to win. Think how nice it would feel to sit on top. Meet with danger. Stay in place with arms out at a dizzy height. Leave me be, that wall repels as I take a leap. I'm a cliff face, thick and dark, meant to last. Too tall to be conquered, and too long here. Keep to your blooming side, grass shaved, neat. The wall has a gate instead, and I walk down to our farmyard, where men stride and shout. One peers with sky eyes from a cowhouse, as I pick my way through dung. Won't gaze around. The bull is coming through, my father bursts in. What's she doing here? Get her out. Spit flies. His face is turned animal too as I look. And I know the wall's story. Want to see all. Run to hide. My Mother's Room by Carmen Cullen. I can almost smell my mother in here. It's a blend of roses and thyme. Blossoms because her softness is bared, with bitterness hinted at from her slights. The signal is clear and true, even so. I'm invited in to do what I like, to write about haunted houses and schemes of kids who are heroes, solve mysteries, never fight. My mother allows me use her chair. I'm in her parlour, alone, made feel proud, handed over her special place, her hallowed ground, to let ideas stream out. The sideboard is awash with gleaming silver, posies clamber up the walls. The carpet is like a path of heaven, and, pen poised in midstream, all around is a fabled hall. I'm a nestling, given space from the other birds, and can open sleepy eyes into a dream. Someone a busy mother vaguely saw, needed her freedom to fence off raw reality. Little Sister by Carmen Cullen. My sister is an awful brat, a chatterbox with laughing eyes. She doesn't stand by me, thinks I'm a stone in her way to heave over, let her run riot. We share the same bed. She forgets, pushes into my half and knees me in the spine. She grips the quilt with tight fists, won't let me have more. Doesn't care if I'm older, hate the cold, have greater rights. She plays with dolls, has curls and a neon smile. Is the favourite of us two, Miss Sunshine. I'm the dreary sister who disappears with a book, ignores she could be lonely, likes to be my one and only. Finally, any of you lovely audience out there who are watching this for the Galway Fringe Festival, I'm going to sing Delia's best known song, which is called The Spinning Wheel. The Spinning Wheel has an atmosphere to it. It really evokes the period. It reflects on Delia's brogue, her natural accent, her rich idiomatic form of expression. The way that she sings a song that is so straightforward and honest. You know, she walks on a stage and she talks to an audience in a very conversational way, and she sings this song in that kind of a way too. And that, I think, is what makes it so much loved by people. So in 1952, it was the most requested song on British radio, and it became a huge hit in Ireland and in England, and is still, as I say, remembered today. I hope you enjoy it. Hello, the moonlight to shine is beginning. Close by the window, young Eileen is spinning. Bent o'er the fire, her blind grandmother sitting, is groaning and groaning and drowsily knitting. Eileen, a cara, I hear someone tapping. 'Tis the ivy, dear mother, against the glass flapping. Eileen, I surely hear somebody sighing. 'Tis the sound, mother dear, of the autumn winds dying. Merrily, cheerily, noiselessly whirring, spins the wheel, swings the wheel, while the foot's stirring. Sprightly and brightly and airily ringing, thrills the sweet voice of the young maiden singing. There's a form at the casement, the form of her true love, and he whispers with face bent, I'm waiting for you, love. Get up on the stool, through the lattice step lightly, and we'll rove in the grove while the moon's shining brightly. The maid shakes her head to her lips, lays a finger, slips up on the stool, longs to go and yet lingers. A frightened glance back at her drowsy grandmother, puts one foot on the stool, spins the wheel with the other. Slower and slower and slower the wheel spins, lower and lower and lower the reel rings. Ere the reel and the wheel stop their spinning,